All right, so let's dive into this whole Diddy situation.
Yeah.
It's wild, right?
Yeah.
Sean Diddy Combs
Yeah.
denied bail not once,
Right.
but twice.
Unbelievable.
This is the guy, the hip-hop icon,
Mogul.
Bad Boy Records. I mean, he seems to have it all right.
You would think.
You would think so, but here he is facing these serious charges, and the courts are just not budging.
They're not buying it.
At all.
Nope.
No, they're not buying it. And we're talking accusations of financial misconduct, coercion, even physical threats.
Yeah, serious stuff.
Twice denied bail.
Sure.
The courts citing flight risk and
Witness tampering. Huge red flags for the court.
Yeah.
Makes you wonder what's really going on behind the scenes.
It does, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if someone like Diddy, with all his resources, with his legal team,
The best lawyers money can buy.
exactly, if he's struggling to navigate this system,
Yeah.
it makes you think.
It's scary.
Right. Like,
Yeah.
what chance does
The average person.
the average person have?
Right. It raises serious questions about fairness and justice.
It really does. And this whole thing's sparked such a huge debate
Oh, absolutely.
online and everywhere else. Is this,
Rightfully so.
yeah, is this about holding Diddy accountable, or is there something,
Is there a bigger message?
is there a bigger message? Like, are they trying to make an example out of him?
It definitely brings up the whole question of how the legal system interacts with these high-profile figures,
Especially
especially in hip-hop.
in hip-hop.
Yeah, you
Think
think
about-
almost like,
You think about cases like Tupac
yeah,
facing those assault charges back in the day,
Meek Mill,
Meek Mill's probation battles,
YNW Melly.
still awaiting trial for murder.
Right. These cases are always under a microscope.
Absolutely. Every move scrutinized, every word analyzed.
And it really does feel like sometimes it becomes about more than
It's not just about the individual anymore.
just one person.
It becomes a symbol. Like, Diddy isn't just a musician,
A
right?
brand,
He's a cultural icon.
a businessman,
He's built this
an empire.
empire from nothing, from the ground up.
Exactly.
So if he can be denied bail,
It makes you wonder.
what does that say about the system?
Right. It raises those questions about potential double standards.
Yeah.
Is there a different set of rules for hip-hop artists?
Are they treated differently than other celebrities?
Actors, politicians, athletes.
Facing similar charges.
Right. And we can't ignore the historical context either.
Right.
Hip-hop has always had this complicated relationship with the law.
It's like this image of being...
This perception that it's somehow inherently criminal.
Yeah.
And that can influence how these cases are perceived and how they're handled.
And you can definitely see that playing out right now with Diddy
All over social media.
in the media.
News outlets, opinions flying everywhere.
Yeah, you got some people fiercely defending him,
Saying he's being targeted.
arguing that he's being targeted.
A victim of his own success.
And then you have others saying,
calling for him to be held accountable.
no matter what.
Regardless of his status.
It's like...
It's a stark reminder of that double-edged sword of fame.
Yeah.
You build this empire, you achieve incredible success, but that same visibility
Can come back to bite you.
can turn against you. This situation could have a ripple effect on everything. His businesses, his partnerships, his legacy.
Even if
he's ultimately cleared of these charges, the damage might already be done.
the court of public opinion.
It's a powerful force.
It's powerful. It's really scary, actually, to think about it.
It can make or break you.
It makes you wonder if you know Diddy's fame. The very thing that propelled him to success could now be
A liability.
a liability in this whole situation.
That's a great point. It speaks to the complexity of this whole case.
Right.
Diddy's story, it's intertwined with the evolution of hip-hop itself. The challenges, the barriers, it's broken. His success embodies that journey.
Yeah. And this situation, it raises these questions about the price of that success.
It does. It's like if someone like Diddy,
With all his wealth.
with all his power,
And face these challenges.
it makes you think
What does that tell us about?
about the supposed protections
Yeah.
of wealth and power.
It's like, it's not a guarantee
Get it all?
of anything.
It's a stark reminder that we need to look beyond those headlines.
Yeah.
We have to analyze the facts, engage in thoughtful dialogue about how our legal system really operates.
Especially when it comes to
Especially when it intersects with fame and cultural influence.
fame and cultural influence.
Yeah.
What about the impact on his empire, though? I
His business empire.
he's built this massive business empire. Ciroc Vodka,
The clothing lines,
music, fashion. I mean,
TV and film.
Could this jeopardize everything?
It's a question a lot of people are asking.
Yeah.
If you look at all of his ventures, they're all tied to his image, to his persona.
His brand.
This legal battle, it introduces a whole new element of risk.
So even if he's found innocent,
The damage might already be done.
could this tarnish his brand permanently?
It's a possibility. That's the unfortunate reality of these high-profile cases.
It's crazy.
That court of public opinion can be just as powerful, if not more so, than the actual legal system.
Yeah.
Perceptions can shift so rapidly.
Yeah.
And regaining trust can be an uphill battle.
It's tough.
It really underscores the importance of due process,
Right.
letting the legal system run its course. But it also highlights the power of narrative.
Yeah.
And how quickly reputations can be impacted.
Regardless of the final verdict.
Yeah.
So we're left with a lot of questions.
A lot of unanswered questions.
Is Diddy a victim of his own success?
Is he being held to a different standard?
What will this mean for his legacy?
For Bad Boy Records?
For the future of hip-hop?
These are all valid questions.
Yeah.
And they lead us to a deeper exploration of how fame and fortune interact with the legal system. Yeah.
We have to consider the historical context, the specific allegations, and the potential outcomes.
Both legally and...
In terms of public perception,
Yeah.
it's a complex situation
It's a mess.
with far-reaching implications.
It's a mess. And it feels like Diddy's case is becoming a focal point.
a lightning rod.
Yeah. For this broader conversation about,
About hip-hop's relationship with the law.
is there a pattern of injustice here?
Are these isolated incidents?
Or is there something bigger going on?
That's a question worth exploring.
It is.
We can't ignore the history of hip-hop being targeted and scrutinized.
Right.
It's important to examine whether there are systemic biases at play
And how they might be contributing to these
high-profile cases.
Yeah. It feels like we're just
Scratching the surface.
scratching the surface of a much deeper issue here.
Absolutely. And as we delve further into this deep dive,
Yeah.
we'll examine those nuances and try to understand the bigger picture.
So stay tuned as we continue to dissect this complex story.
This saga and its implications for Diddy, for hip-hop culture.
For our understanding of justice in the face of fame and fortune.
Exactly.
We'll be back soon to unpack more of this story and what it means for all of us.
Absolutely. It's interesting when you mentioned that historical context
Yeah.
of hip-hop and the law.
Right.
You know, if you followed Diddy's career at all,
Of course.
he's presented himself as this, like, savvy businessman.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh, yeah. Always the entrepreneur.
someone who's kind of like transcended
Above the stereotype.
those stereotypes, right?
Right. Okay.
Of hip-hop artists
Exactly.
and the law.
He's built this brand that goes way beyond just music.
Right. He's got
Fashion, spirits, television.
everything. Right. He's got the clothing line. He's got the vodka.
He's a master of diversification.
He's a master of
Yeah.
diversification. But
Right.
this situation really kind of challenges
back the curtain a little bit.
that whole narrative.
Exposes the
Yeah.
vulnerability.
It does.
Yeah.
And it's like we're seeing this other side,
The human side.
the human side, the vulnerable side,
Behind the facade.
Diddy.
Right.
And this is happening to him,
To Diddy.
someone who seemingly has all the resources,
All the connections.
all the connections to navigate the system.
Yeah.
I mean, what does that say about the power dynamics at play here?
Right. Are we talking about the system working as intended?
Like, is
Holding a powerful figure accountable?
he being
Or is this an example of someone being made an example of
made an example of
because of their success?
because of his success?
It's a tough question.
It's a really tough question. And then you have the human element too, right?
Of course.
To Diddy.
Despite the larger-than-life persona.
Despite all of that,
He's still a person.
he's still a person
Facing serious accusations.
facing serious accusations.
Imagine the pressure.
What kind of pressure do you think he must be under right now?
It's got to be immense. Remember, even with all the wealth in the world, you can't buy your way out of legal trouble.
It's true.
The uncertainty, the potential damage to his reputation, the impact on his family, his businesses.
I mean, it's
It's a lot to carry.
a lot.
Yeah.
And it makes you think about the price of fame.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
We always see
We see the glamorous side.
the glamorous side,
Well,
the success, the
or
influence.
parties, the awards, the accolades.
This case really shines a light
On the dark side.
on the downside
No vulnerabilities.
that come with that level of visibility.
Yeah.
And it's not just about Diddy.
Right.
This is a story that we've seen play out time and again in the music industry.
Right. Like, think about
Artists rise to incredible heights, achieving fame and fortune,
Yeah. And
only to face legal battles, personal struggles, financial ruin.
it's almost like a
It's a cautionary tale.
cautionary tale, right?
Yeah, reminding us that success doesn't make you immune to life's challenges. And it makes you think, right? Are we,
Yeah.
as a society,
Are we too quick to idolize these celebrity,
put them on a pedestal?
placing them on pedestals only to be disappointed when they inevitably fall?
It's interesting. Some people argue that Diddy's wealth should actually make him
Less of a flight risk.
less of a flight risk, right? Because
That's right.
he's got everything to lose.
He's got every reason to stay and fight.
He has every reason to stay and fight these charges.
So why would he run?
What's your perspective on that?
It's a valid point, for sure. A judge is going to weigh a defendant's assets when they're assessing flight risk.
So it's not like they just ignore it.
They look at everything, but they also consider the severity of the charges, potential international ties, and any evidence that suggests an intent to flee.
Right. And in Diddy's case,
They weren't convinced.
the court clearly felt that the risks outweighed
The mitigating factor.
the mitigating factors.
Yeah, they felt he was a flight risk.
And that speaks volumes, right?
It does. It speaks to the seriousness of the situation.
It does.
We're not talking about minor charges here.
No, we're talking about
These accusations of financial misconduct, coercion, and threats,
they carry a lot of weight.
they carry significant weight, and the potential consequences are substantial.
And so even if he's acquitted,
The damage might already be done.
the accusations alone,
They can cast a long shadow.
and it's hard to shake.
It's true, and it's important to remember that the burden of proof in a criminal case is on the prosecution.
Right.
Diddy is innocent until proven guilty,
Right. But public perception,
but public perception often operates on a different timeline.
it's like a whole different
It's a court of its own.
court.
Yeah, fueled by social media and the 24-hour news cycle.
It moves so fast.
It's hard to control the narrative once it takes hold.
It really is.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what do you think Diddy and his legal team are doing right now?
Damage control for sure.
I mean, are they just focused on the legal strategy? Or
They have to manage both, the legal strategy and the reputational damage,
it's a high-stakes game?
with potentially devastating consequences.
It is. And it brings us back to that question that we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
Is Diddy a victim of his own success?
Is the scrutiny he's facing a result of his status, or is it simply the legal system operating as it should?
That's tough.
I don't know.
Tough one to answer.
If there's an easy answer to that.
Yeah.
But I think this case really highlights
It illuminates
the complexities
of wealth, fame, and accountability.
in the modern age.
Absolutely. In the age of social media and instant information.
It makes you wonder, right?
Yeah.
If the pressure of maintaining that success,
The image, the persona.
the image of being Diddy,
Right.
played a role in the alleged actions.
That's a fascinating psychological element to consider.
It is.
That relentless drive to stay on top, the need to protect your empire.
Yeah.
Could that lead to compromises?
To bad decisions.
To decisions that ultimately backfire? Yeah. It's a thought-provoking idea for sure.
It is. It reminds us that behind the persona, behind that carefully crafted image, there's a human being
There is a human being.
facing real challenges, making decisions with potentially far-reaching consequences.
And those decisions can be magnified, right?
Oh, absolutely.
When you're someone like Diddy,
A cultural icon
a cultural icon
whose actions are scrutinized on a global stage.
on a global stage. So what does this all mean for Diddy's future? I mean,
$1 million question.
can he bounce back from this?
Both legally and in terms of his public image.
Legally and in terms of public image.
Tough to say. Only time will tell.
But one thing's for sure right. This case
Far from over.
is far from over.
And its implications extend far beyond Diddy himself.
This is a story that speaks to
Complexities of our legal system,
the complexities of our legal system.
the power dynamics of fame, and the enduring legacy of hip-hop culture.
It's a story that really compels us.
To look beyond the surface.
Look beyond the surface.
Yeah. To analyze the facts and to engage in thoughtful dialogue about the intersection of wealth, power, and justice.
And as we continue our deep dive into this case,
We're going to explore those nuances,
we'll examine the legal arguments.
the potential outcomes, and the broader cultural implications.
Because this isn't just about one man's legal battle, right?
It's about understanding the forces at play,
The systems that influence outcomes.
the choices we make in the face of adversity.
It's about recognizing that even those who seem to have it all
Then face challenges.
can face challenges that test their resilience, their values.
Their ability to navigate the complexities of our world.
So stay tuned as we continue to unpack this intricate story.
This saga.
And explore the questions it raises about fame, fortune, and the pursuit of justice in the modern age. We've talked about all the legal stuff and the business side of things. What about the human side of this story?
Right.
How do you think this is impacting Diddy personally? I mean, we see the public persona.
A Diddy image?
The Diddy image.
The larger-than-life persona.
But behind all that,
There's a real person.
there's a real person dealing with a very serious situation.
Absolutely. Facing real consequences.
Real consequences.
And intense scrutiny.
Yeah, and it makes you think about
About the human cost of fame.
the human cost of fame.
It's easy to forget that celebrities, despite their wealth and status, are still human beings with feelings and vulnerabilities.
It is. And this situation, it's got to be putting immense pressure on him.
Oh, absolutely. The weight of those accusations, the uncertainty, the potential damage to everything he's built,
Yeah.
it's a heavy burden to carry.
It really brings up the question of accountability, too, right?
Right.
How do we reconcile this image of Diddy,
The symbol of success and empowerment.
who's always been seen as
He's a self-made mogul.
the self-made mogul?
Yeah.
These serious
Those
allegations
very serious allegations.
that he's now facing.
It's a tough one. It speaks to that larger conversation about how we respond when our icons stumble.
Right. Like,
Are we too quick to defend? Too quick to condemn?
or is there some
Or is there a middle ground?
middle ground,
Yeah.
a more nuanced approach?
It feels like there's this
Expectation.
expectation that celebrities should be
Role models.
role models.
That their success somehow makes them immune to making mistakes. An unrealistic expectation.
It's totally unrealistic, right?
It sets them up for a harder fall when they inevitably face challenges.
Because everybody makes mistakes.
Everybody's flawed,
Nobody's perfect.
regardless of their wealth or their status.
So how do we as a society hold people accountable?
Especially those in positions of power.
Especially those in positions of power without
Without demonizing them or dismissing their accomplishments.
without completely tearing them down.
It's a balancing act for sure.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
I think it starts with recognizing that accountability and empathy aren't mutually exclusive.
Okay, so
We can acknowledge the harm that's been done.
we can demand justice for those who have been wronged.
Right.
But we can also recognize the complexities of human behavior.
So it's about seeing the whole picture.
Seeing the whole picture.
Not just the highlight reel or the scandal.
Right, and it's about having those
honest conversations.
honest conversations.
About the systems that contribute to these situations.
Yeah, we can't just ignore.
We can't ignore the power dynamics, the systemic biases, the pressures that come with fame and fortune.
It's all connected.
It's all intertwined.
And this case has really
Sparked a lot of debate.
ignited
And some uncomfortable truths
some uncomfortable truths.
about our expectations of celebrities, the legal system, the complexities of justice.
And while the legal proceedings,
They'll ultimately determine Diddy's fate in this specific case.
right, but it feels like the broader conversation
The conversation's going to continue.
is going to continue.
Long after the verdict is reached.
Not going away.
There's a ripple effect. As we kind of wrap up this deep dive,
Yeah.
what's the one key takeaway you want our listeners
To ponder.
to ponder?
Yeah.
What's the question?
The lingering question.
That should stay with them.
How can we as individuals and as a society cultivate a culture of accountability that acknowledges both the harm caused and the potential for redemption?
That's deep.
It's a question that applies not just to celebrities, but to all of us as we navigate the complexities of human behavior and the pursuit of justice.
That's a really powerful thought to leave us with.
It's something to think about.
It is. This deep dive has been a journey for sure.
It has been a lot to unpack.
And I really hope it's encouraged our listeners to, think critically about the issues at play.
Absolutely.
The systems involved.
The choices we make.
The choices we all make when we're faced with these difficult situations.
Yeah.
So keep asking those tough questions.
Keep digging deeper.
Keep digging deeper.
Keep searching for those answers.
And keep striving for a world where
justice and empathy can coexist.
justice and empathy can coexist. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.